Hi guys, and welcome back to another classic gaming review, but this time it's also going to be a playthrough. Let's take a look at Robo Army on the NeoGeo. Robo Army. The game was developed and published by SNK. Oh, here we go again. The producers was Ikichi Kawasaki. The designers was Akira Goto and Koichi Sakita. And Takeshi Kimura, or Kimura rather. The composer was Kazumasa Yamada. I'll go with that. The game first arrived on the arcades and then the NeoGeo AES and then CD format. It also, though, has made its way onto the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and Nintendo Switch, but most recently it's been on the NeoGeo Mini system. It was originally released back in 1991 and it is, of course, a beat-em-up. My apologies if I have gone and murdered your name there. Sorry. There's not a huge amount of story with this. It would appear that you're up against Professor Henchman. He's got a load of robots and it looks and it feels a little bit of world domination. But what he's doing is he's using the brains of humans to clone and make more robots. They've sent the army after him, a Robo Army, basically, in this case one, but you can have two players, so it's two cyborgs to take him out. And that's really the story in a nutshell. Has it really got one? If it has, it's weak. I'm going to have to give it 6 out of 10 for story, I'm afraid. Audio. Well, it's got fantastic stereo sound, but I'm going to start with the music. And the music, I think, if I'm going to be really honest, it only just cuts it. It certainly isn't memorable. I don't think it's not beefed up enough, if you know what I mean. But it's adequate. That's probably the nicest thing I can say about it. It certainly doesn't make my ears bleed, and it isn't displeasant, but it would have sounded so much better if I had a good, strong, thumping soundtrack. So it's a little bit of a letdown, but hey ho. As for everything else, when you're fighting, I think it sounds brilliant. I really do like the special effects. I really do enjoy the sounds. It does sound like metal bashing against metal. You know, when you're throwing vans, trucks and all sorts, when you're smacking the dogs and the bosses. It just sounds brilliant. The explosions are more than realistic enough, and I think it's fantastic. I'm going to give it, though, 8 out of 10. Controls. Well, as you can expect, very simple. You're using the joystick to move your character around the screen, and you're using one button for jump, one button for punch, one button for kick. But if I remember correctly, the kick button does also double up as your power weapon button. And that's it. It's that simple. In fact, I don't even think I even remembered to block even once. I couldn't even tell you how to block in this game, to be quite honest. I was too busy bashing things about. But the controls are more than responsive enough. They're not over responsive, but on a game like this, it wouldn't really matter if I was to be quite honest with you. Controls, just brilliant. 9 out of 10. Graphics. Now, as you would expect, these look brilliant. I really do enjoy these graphics. You know, I'm an older gamer and that's possibly why I enjoy them more than most. But I also love the way he walks. It's got that Robocop sort of feel, it really has. Whether or not they borrowed some of that franchise, obviously, I can only speculate. But that's the sort of feel you see when he's walking around. The movement of the character, a little bit blocky, maybe not as smooth, but it certainly doesn't take anything away from the game. There is an absolute ton of colour and tons of detail. There is always something happening in the background, no matter what. And you can absolutely bash everything and you can see it explode right in front of your eyes. So the graphics on this, again, I think they're brilliant. I really do enjoy them. But I'll have to take into account that they are a little dated, but it's no killer. I'm still going to give it 8 out of 10. Gameplay. Now you've got two characters that you can use. Player 1 controls Maxima and player 2 controls Rocky. You are both cyborgs, but the only difference between the two of you is one's wearing a red uniform and the other's wearing a blue uniform. And that's your lot, unfortunately. You have got 6 levels you're going to have to work your way through before you reach that end boss. But during these levels, you've got Professor's henchmen, constant waves coming at you. Now these are, I suppose we'll say, harder to kill robots at times, robots on motorbikes, dogs, birds, all sorts. You've also got a sub-level boss and an end-of-level boss, so you've got plenty of them to fight against. You can actually also defend yourself by collecting improvised weapons. Now these could certainly be metal bars or the arms of the robots you've just destroyed, so when given the option, collect those and use them to destroy them immediately. You can also pick up cars and barrels and throw those at the oncoming enemy as well, so use that to your advantage. You have got a power gauge, and it allows you to launch powerful attacks according to the power gained. So you've seen me now plenty of times using, I suppose we'll call it a laser attack, where you've got, I think it's 3 lasers coming out each side or in blue. Now you need to collect your power-ups because you want to use that powerful weapon as and when things get too much. So keep a lookout for the power gauge. Also keep a lookout for something that looks, I suppose, a bit like an oil can or a fuel can. It's green. That's your health bar. By collecting that, it'll give you a bit more energy. You can also transform yourself for a brief moment into an armoured vehicle. I think it looks like a Sinclair C5, but everyone to their own. And it doesn't do much. It's a real shame. It's a pity you couldn't be firing lasers or rockets, or just gunning people down. You can't. You just use it to run them over and they will immediately destroy. The levels are mainly going from left to right, but to mix it up a bit more, you'll have sections where you're going down a level on rope. You can jump across the rope, but basically just destroy everything as much as possible, as quickly as possible. And I suppose that's it really for the gameplay. It's a short game. You'll complete this in 30-35 minutes, providing you use as many credits as I have. And I think that's where the skill is involved in this, is trying to complete the game by not using as many credits. It's a brilliant game. I would though question the replay value, because a game this short, once I've completed it, it's one of those I'm not looking to jump back at it straight away. But I've certainly enjoyed it. So I'm going to be a little harsh, but not over harsh, I feel. For gameplay, I'll give it 7 out of 10. Overall, this is certainly a fun game to play, and I think if you're into your beat 'em ups, your likes of Streets of Rage sort of game, and you haven't got a lot of time on your hands, you know what, this is perfect. It's only 30-35 minutes to complete this one. It's perfect, and I have really enjoyed the experience. I just wish it was a little bit longer. And that, for me, is really this game's only letdown. But I am giving it an overall score of 7.6 out of 10. Well, just before we get to the end of level boss man, I'm going to say my final little bit. And it is a fun game. It is a game you should really give a go. But for me, it's a little bit too short. But certainly for the younger player, it's fantastic. You'll get an absolute blast out of this. And that's not to say I haven't enjoyed this, because I really have. It certainly is a game you should be looking to pick up and give this one a go. Please, if you can, give it a playthrough. You will enjoy yourselves if these are the sort of games that you are into. Well, I'd like to thank you for watching and thank you for subscribing. But if you haven't subscribed yet, why not? Please consider doing so. And please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up if you've enjoyed this. This really helps. I'm going to leave it there and I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of this game. Thank you for watching. Take care.